Cubs defeat the Padres, and good baseball was played all around. We break it all down next.
Are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. And we're live here at 9:45 Central Standard on YouTube, in your ears on demand, or if you're re-listening or re-watching, we appreciate that as well. Really solid Cubs win Tuesday night as they shut out the Padres 6-0 to improve to 13-9 on the campaign. A lot of highlights in this one, Sam. What a night.
And Matt, as you were setting up for the show, do you like blue cheese? Because that's what Boog and JD were talking about at the end of the game there. Mad Viscursion doesn't like blue cheese, in case anybody on the planet Earth cares. Great win today. You know, I tweeted this out. I was secretly rooting for it to stay relatively close because I wanted to see how the bullpen was managed, because we had a nice segment on the show on Friday talking about the bullpen and who's high leverage and who's not. And it was trending towards a really beautiful game from Ross. I loved the Alzolay. Why Alzolay only one inning? Because lefties were due up. At some point, you're going to have to take the training wheels off of him. If you want him to be that guy, he's got to get both sides of the plate out. But tonight wasn't that. Then you go lighter, left, right, left, right. He wasn't great, but the process was right. And by the way, if he gives up a 3-run homer there to Grisham, that doesn't mean Ross got it wrong. Right? He was the right guy in the spot. It ended up working out. And then Keegan, a couple too many walks for my liking, but he did his job. So I love that. But, you know, the night was about two guys, about Justin Steele and Gomes.
Oh, absolutely. And what a battery they have made so far this season. I really like the strategy throughout the game. I know you were managing the game throughout yourself. And if you're not following Sam yet, and if you're not on Twitter, you should go on there and follow him during the ball games. Gomes 4 for 4 with a 2-run homer early, and that was the score the whole game until the bottom of the 8th, 2-0, and the Cubs pushed 4 runs across in that bottom half of the 8th. Other highlights tonight: Mancini single and 2 walks. I had that down in my notes.
Two walks is the key there.
Horner with that triple late, 3 RBI. Steele finished with this line: 5 1/3, 3 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. And we talk about the bullpen. They combined for 3 2/3 a shutout ball. Alzolay to Leiter to Thompson. And then after the Cubs put up that 4 spot, Michael Rucker finished it off. Just all around a good game. I like the close competitive action throughout. You know, I already saw somebody in the chat. The chat's on fire, and keep doing your thing. We really have a second show going on there. And also thanks for the 150 plus already with us right now live. But it was a solid game coming off that off day, coming off a weekend where would you have liked to split with the Dodgers, and you beat the Fathers really in convincing fashion.
Yeah.
And, I enjoyed the game throughout. A little bit of adrenaline, a little bit of a close call was fine.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, it's fun. They're 13-9. They're better than everybody thought. Their rate stats say they even should be better than 13-9. And you got to sometimes take the time to enjoy that. I mean, there's a bunch of guys. I mean, we didn't even talk about Nico Horner, bases clearing triple. He's been on in like every game. I can't remember the last time he struck out. It's
He barely
nice.
swings and misses.
It's nice to see. And Lawrence just said, the team definitely, they're showing resiliency is the right word. And you got to remember the last 2 years, the Cubs had 2 double-digit losing streaks that derailed their season.
Right.
I don't think this team is going to have that. They fight. Now what you do is you have a good performance like this against a very similar team to the Dodgers. You know me, I'm always weary when you shut out a team with those good of hitters. The bats will have to wake up a little bit more tomorrow against a very mediocre Michael Wacha. And you got to find a way to win this series. You can't lose these next 2. You got to find a way to win this series now, which I think they will. And it's good. You don't take away too much from one game outside of Steele and Gomes' huge day. I thought Velasquez fit right in. He's playing
Bellinger to the paternity list.
He's played center field. Obviously, he doesn't play it to the caliber of Bellinger, but I mean, his at bats look good. I thought that walk in the bottom of the 8th was really impressive. Tough takes. I mean, he just has so much more value to this team than some of the guys that just don't ever play. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's got to be they want him to develop into something more than a 4th outfielder, so they just like him in AAA. But I just think, if you're really serious about winning right now, it's hard to see how it makes sense that he's not on this team, and with the way other guys are used. And
Sure.
But to me, like, the reason why I like to tweet a lot during the games is not to annoy people. I just like people that listen to the show to see my thinking, my thought process.
Sure.
So then they know where I'm coming from. And to me, the biggest problem with this team so far this year has been their bullpen and bullpen usage. And so I like to walk people through what I would do before it happens. And then today it matched up pretty much the same, and that's good. That's a good sign. Not that I'm right all the time. I mean, I'm wrong plenty. A year and a half ago at this time, I was telling you I thought Keegan Thompson made more sense as a starter than Justin Steele. So it's not like I'm the guy here. But the big takeaway for me was it was close late because Ross had no idea the Cubs were going to break it open in the 8th, and no Boxberger, no Fulmer warming up, which I like. That's adjusting. 20-game honeymoon phase is over.
It's over.
I like that. And by the way, like, we got to say, they put up zeros, but outside of Alzolay, Thompson, Leiter, and Rucker were not very sharp tonight.
There was some traffic.
Yeah, a couple too many walks and whatnot. But you also have to take into consideration this is a very challenging lineup to navigate through. There are not many breaks. I mean, the top 4 are elite, but then even the bottom, Cronenworth's a pest. Carpenter hits a bunch of home runs. You can't take off with Kim. So
yeah, they're just so cold right now.
Yeah, they're cold right now, and you hope they stay cold for 1, maybe 2 more games.
Yes.
But that was my big takeaway outside of the obvious is it looks like Ross continues to listen to our program.
Yeah.
And
that was huge. And tonight also proved or revealed there's no closer. It's a situational bullpen in which multiple guys are well equipped to fit those situations. And it's up to David Ross and his chair to make sure that those guys get outs at the appropriate time.
Right.
And that's exactly how it's set up tonight against a good team, a good lineup that turns over really well. And so that was extremely encouraging to see. And maybe Hughes was going to pitch that 9th. And like you said earlier, doesn't mean he's the 9th inning guy. It just so happened tonight,
right,
that's how it fell. Maybe you see Leiter one day. Maybe you see Thompson, Alzolay. So
right.
I really like to see that. And yeah, not even a sniff of Boxberger or Fulmer, which is a big storyline. And so I'm glad we're playing that up.
Yeah.
Yan Gomes, Sam.
Yep.
Elite receiver.
Yep.
Frames pitches, turns balls into strikes.
Yep.
Solid blocking and throwing as well. Not as much of an elite thrower, but he gets the job done.
He's got a good pop-up time.
And offensively this year, he stepped up when needed. 5 home runs.
Sure.
It's been a very nice opening part of the year for him.
Yeah, he's one of the many Cubs players right now that is playing above their projected.
Above their belt, like you say.
Yeah, above their projected value. And, he's going to get cold. And Wisdom right now is a bit cold. That doesn't mean those guys stink. One of my pet peeves is when us fans, and I'm guilty of it too, is we let an early season hot streak increase our expectations. If Patrick Wisdom hits 240 with 35 home runs, that's a phenomenal job.
Oh my gosh, be great.
So Gomes is hot right now, and you take a look at this comment right here. That Gomes carried them today. The bottom of the order: Gomes, Mancini, Velasquez, and then Horner carried them. Every day at the park. You can't sit here and analyze every game directly. Like, nobody's going to lose sleep that the Cubs 2 through 6 guys didn't hit when they scored 6 runs and won a baseball game. You have to skin the cat in different ways. And that's how you become a good baseball team. It's not, look at the Angels. They have their 2 and 3 hitters never go 0 for whatever, and they never win. It's about balance. It's about roster construction. And what's made this team effective early on offensively is it's been different guys. You can't peg one guy that's been the MVP. It's probably Horner for the way he started the season and how has been setting the table. But, Wisdom had a stretch where he carried the club. Haps had stretches where he carried the club. Dansby Swanson, I promise you, will have multiple stretches where he carries this baseball team. So
this is 22 games in.
Yeah, and we're only 22 games in. So that's how that works. It's a balanced lineup. They need to continue to hit. The only things that I see offensively where I go, ouch, because I saw something from Passan about how, be wary of the Cubs start. A lot of guys are hitting way better than they should. Gomes obviously is not going to finish the year over 300. Wisdom will take a dip, but Haps swing lefty looks very sustainable. Dansby Swanson hasn't even hit a home run yet. Nico Horner stuff looks very sustainable, and I've been saying it since spring training. Cody Bellinger's at bats look very sustainable to me. Yeah. I don't think he stinks anymore offensively.
Right.
So, there's a lot there. They're 13-9. Overall, it's been very good. They're much closer to 15-6 than they are 11-11 for sure.
Right.
And it's good stuff. And Yan Gomes deserves a lot of credit for it, to get back to the original point. And
I think he is becoming a fan favorite, as a couple people have mentioned.
If he walked a tad bit more, he'd be like a pretty consistent offensive player.
He'd be a silver slugger.
He's always hit lefties. And so, I think with the Gomes thing, we have to start leaning towards, it's not really a platoon anymore with him and Barnhart. And I don't think Barnhart's done anything wrong necessarily. But it's obvious that the team functions better with Yan catching, and
the records aren't even close.
Right. And I don't know how much that actually matters. I don't know. Maybe maybe we study that more.
Yeah, I would like to. Yeah.
And Jan's an older guy, so I know he can't play 4 days a week, or 4 of every 5 games every time. He'll get tired. But I think it's pretty obvious who won and who two are at this point.
Yeah. And the other thing about the 2 through 6 today being over, we could unlock the box score like that anytime. They made Blake Snell really work.
Yeah, and
105 pitches through 5 is unreal.
Yeah, and this team, I felt really good about them today. I actually bet them today.
Okay.
Because the Cubs have like the lowest amount of swings on pitches out of the zone in baseball. I need a site who I saw that from, but you could take my word for it. And Snell walks a lot of guys, so it's a good matchup. And they didn't end up crushing him, but it's very nice to see a team on a regular basis take their walks. Like, Dansby's not really hitting right now, but he's taking his walks, and usually the trend is when you take your walks, the big home run balls are gonna come.
Coming up next, we dip our toe into the potential of Kyle Hendricks returning soon. There was news today about him, and we start to unlock the chat a little bit more as well. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by So Rare, revolutionary fantasy baseball game at Marketplace, transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against opponents from around the world. Win or lose, you still own those cards, and there's no cost to play. Head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon to start playing. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Grand slams, no-hitters, and double plays are back, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On Cubs. We're back, and thank you so much for joining us live if you are with us live exclusively on YouTube. Also, the following day on audio. And if you have SiriusXM and you tune into the Cubs hometown broadcast on the SXM app, promos for this show will soon be running. So make sure to catch every pitch if you have SiriusXM on the SXM app by searching Cubs. Continuing to celebrate this win on a live edition of the show, 200 plus with us right now. Really appreciate the support. Cubs 13-9 on the season, and even before Tuesday's great game action, Sam, I got a little sentimental, I have to say. I know I'm that person, but Kyle Hendricks might be pitching again for the Cubs within the next 2 or 3 weeks. He is pitching for the Iowa Cubs on a rehab outing this Thursday. Probably going to get at least one more start after that. I would guess 2, based on what David Ross said pregame. And all indications are that Hendricks is not only healthy, but he looks real solid.
Yeah, and people always are talking about, well, what do we do with Hendricks if so-and-so, and what about this? It always works out. There's going to be a need for Hendricks. Who knows how long Tyone's out? Wisniewski looks very mediocre to be kind right now.
Right.
So right now they're going without a 5th starter, by the way. So there will be a need for Kyle Hendricks. It will be interesting to see. The things to look for with Hendricks are very simple. The last couple years, his ground ball rate has been plummeting. He needs to get the ball on the ground to be successful, especially with the best team in the major league statistically at turning ground balls into outs. That's your Chicago Cubs, by the way. That's not a surprise if you've been following the offseason. It's been very obvious that was their plan of action in some of these acquisitions. Keep the ball on the ground and try your best to avoid that destructive outing. That is what has killed Kyle Hendricks the last couple of seasons.
Yep.
He'll have one great start and then he'll come out and it's 9-2 in the third. And I agree. It is nice. Kyle Hendricks was my favorite Cub throughout the golden era, if you will. I just had so much respect for the guy that was on the mound in the 2 biggest games in the franchise's history. And to deliver the way he did against the Dodgers in Game 6 against a lefty that I believe we just saw on Sunday by the name of Clayton Kershaw, and outpitch him, by the way, and then in Game 7 of the World Series, hold himself in a hostile environment. Because people forget, in 16, I mean, Kyle had an amazing 16, but he wasn't a household name yet.
No.
And he delivered like that. And you never could forget something like that. And so he's always been my guy. I've always believed in him and I will continue to. And I look forward to him coming back. And how cool would it be if he helped contribute to this team winning games?
I think it would be an incredible story, for a club that already has some solid stories developing. I think it's going to be fantastic. I really look forward to him being back on the bump in a major league uniform for this team. I would love to be there when he comes back. Hasn't pitched since July. Not sure if I could pull that off, but it'd be nice if he made his 2023 debut at Wrigley.
Right.
And they're going to need him. I think you're going to have natural attrition. There's been even some people in the comments, and I don't apologize for laughing, asking about Hendricks as the closer. And folks, Hendricks tops out at 90 MPH. That's a new development, by the way. Usually sits about 87, 88.
We got to be better
And
than
that's
that.
just not going to work
Nah, we got to
in
be better than
today's
that.
day and age.
We got to be better than that.
Yes. And he is going
his whole value to the team is that he might be able to bring length. Yeah. We got to be better than
that. He turns over a lineup. Again, the defense is going to support him. It sounds like his pitch mix has been good in extended spring. So I'm going to keep a close eye on the iCubs game Thursday. That's a matinee game, I believe, noon Central in Des Moines. The S's are silent. And just really looking forward to him coming back. And
Bryce loves talking Iowa Cubs.
Yeah, and if he's going to games, we got to get him on.
Right.
We could do that soon. The iCubs were in action today. All 4 affiliates were, and a lot of good things from across the games tonight. So really a good up and down day for the franchise.
Right.
Let's project a little bit though. If Wisniewski is still struggling in 2 weeks and it's Hendricks' turn to return, what happens?
Yeah, it's not the bullpen. That's not it. You gotta develop pitchers better, and putting him in the bullpen would not help him. And it's not like it would help the team that much to where you want to hurt his development. If this start Thursday, I'm very concerned about, because this is not a lineup you want to face when you're struggling.
Right.
And if it goes terribly, and Hendricks comes up, you'll probably – the answer is if he continues to struggle, it's AAA. I don't think the Cubs want to do it. I think they believe in him. I think if he gets hot and he starts feeling it, he could pitch here, but it's got to happen quickly because,
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, otherwise he's under the threat of demotion.
Right.
And he could be a bullpen piece, even a scary one, weighed out like months in advance. Wink, wink.
Yeah, kind of like,
but not in May.
Yeah, kind of like what Lindsay was saying yesterday about like bringing a guy and using him in the pen, like the Astros is with Hunter Brown, as like hey, we're limiting your innings anyway, come in. But that's not what you want to see with him now.
That's not the goal.
No. You want to. The Cubs are a good team right now. But they are not at the window where it's like, hey, let's scrap developing Hayden Wisniewski and just put him in the pen this year. No.
Yeah, I don't see a path to that.
So we'll see. Let's some Bears talk.
Okay. Well,
what's kind of nice is that we play at 1:20 Thursday, so we'll be able to catch the draft.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I watch every Cub game now like it's like my job. It's my dad called me today, like the middle of the 6th. I'm like, I got to call you back later. I can't miss a pitch because, that would be me being poor at my job.
Right. No, I appreciate the commitment. And draft Thursday night in prime time, well after the Cubs game. So no conflict there. All right, let's continue to celebrate this win on the other side. Stay tuned. Today's episode is also brought to you by Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. I'm the GM on this show with my lineups, my projections. Sam's more of like the manager. Not more of, he is, okay? And quite frankly, Ultimate Pro Baseball GM lets you do both. That's why it's the coolest game we've played in a long time. And it's really not that easy to GM or manage. And if you've ever thought about managing your own franchise, you should download Ultimate Pro Baseball GM. All the Locked On MLB hosts are playing right now and talking some trash. And this game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise, playing through seasons and leading your team and fans to glory as you build a historic dynasty. This is all in a challenging and realistic game world. It's completely free. It's playable offline, playable on the go, as you want and when you want to. Locked On Cubs listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, look it up in the Apple and Google Play stores. Ultimate Pro Baseball GM to start your dynasty today. We're back here on Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every single day. First, exclusively live on YouTube as we record here on a Tuesday evening. Cubs win 6-0, improved to 13-9 on the season, and available on demand or for a rewatch. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts.
I'd like to shout out. Can I shout out a city?
Sure.
I'd like to shout out the beautiful, and I am being sarcastic, beautiful city of Detroit for going into Milwaukee and taking the first 2 games of that series. Those wins will count at the end of the campaign.
Yeah, they all count the same, right?
Yeah, the Dodgers went into Pittsburgh. You're not playing Cincinnati anymore.
Yeah, and the Pirates were up a lot. The Dodgers stormed back.
Yeah, they did, and we've seen that movie a few times.
Yeah, we saw that about 12 hours ago.
Yeah.
A couple days ago. But that I have to be real. I'm checking the standings every day.
Yeah, I'm not as much
but
checking.
It's part of the fun.
Yeah, I'm not as much checking the standings as monitoring this
checking
Pittsburgh
the scores.
I'm monitoring this Pittsburgh thing and seeing if I want to take it serious, and I'm not there yet. I'll let you know when I'm there. I will let you know when I'm there. I am not there yet.
That's interesting. Yeah, because everyone
this is somebody
not going to be in the mix.
And this is somebody that said that felt very strongly and took their preseason over that they would be much better than their over under. But I am not there where I'm not watching them like I'm watching Milwaukee and that team with the that has the arch in their city, which is the only attraction, as they trail 2-1 in San Fran.
Wow. So it could be into the Reds lose. I mean, do we even care?
Well, nobody cares about that.
Okay.
They're not going to be around.
I thought we were going to get the full report. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't, but I can look at it because I have that ability. This is what we call a computer.
Yeah. So, the Pirates 9 games over 500 entering the night. I'm not going to dismiss that, but and it's nice to rack up these wins as we know in April. Definitely want to see this next part of their tougher schedule, what happens with them. And perhaps this is a turning point the other way for that ball club. They have a couple starters, ERAs over 5. I don't know if that's sustainable right now. Meanwhile, the Cubs have 2 fabulous starters. Stroman and Steele really becoming a formidable 1-2 combo. And Drew Smyly was almost perfect in his last outing, Sam. He goes up against Waka, 6:40 p.m. Central, first pitch on Wednesday. The Cubs have, it seems like, Waka's number over the years. Now he is with the Fathers out west. Swanson, Happ, and Hosmer, all solid career numbers against the right-hander.
Rizzo
and
used
it'll
to
be
just
nice to win a
destroy
series.
Waka. Yeah, Rizzo used to hit Waka.
Yeah,
it's a game you want to get because you don't want to leave the series up to Wisniewski Lugo. That's the pitching matchup that favors the Pods the most in this series. I would say today you definitely lean Cubs. I think tomorrow you lean Cubs, and then I think you're with the way Wisniewski's throwing, your strong lean Pods in Game 3. Yep. So win the series tomorrow, put it away. You're asking a lot of your 4th, 5th starter, Drew Smyly, but he's been good. And I always like, obviously Tatis and Machado and Bogarts are all righty, but these lefties sometimes, like Smyly, you get to neutralize Soto, which is huge. You get to neutralize Cronenworth. You get to neutralize Grisham. You get to neutralize Carpenter. Those are big pieces, and it's a lot harder to hit left on left. So, think about it. The only guy that consistently hits left on left for the Cubs is Bellinger.
Right.
Everyone else sits out.
Hosmer sometimes hits there.
Right. Sometimes
lefties. Right. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't really hit much of anything.
Right. I'm just saying.
I know that. It's good stuff. Why don't let's navigate a little through the chat, and then I'm gonna, try and get 3-4 hours of sleep for the first time in 3.5 weeks.
Okay, sounds good.
As the Sox lost another ball game.
This is becoming
kind of funny, isn't it?
It's. And Steve Stone didn't have a flattering comment from one of those pitchers today. Not sure if I want to report that or not.
No, don't report it. But I listened to the whole interview on 670, and I thought the whole interview was a little bit kind of eye-rolling.
I listened to the whole thing too after the fact.
No, I listened to it live while I was driving, and the word that popped off was condescending.
Yeah, that's probably a good description. Yeah. So one of the narratives that keeps popping up is Morel and Mervis. I don't think it's ever going to end.
Can I address this?
Yeah.
I agree with 50% of that. I think Worse is strong. I don't think Mervis is developing at Iowa. I think Morrell is. Morrell still has to figure out his strikeout rate, and it's coming down a bit. And for him to get here, it needs to come down more, and so that that is helping him. Anytime he sees live professional pitching and doesn't strike out, that is a step forward for him. But I agree with Mervis, so I agree with half of that.
Yeah, and of course, you look at a night like tonight, and maybe you raise a brow to, oh well, what if they had more offense? But the offense has been so dang good. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Sure, it's an appropriate time to get greedy. Let's even make it better. But I think where we're trending on this is that those two dudes getting promoted is not necessarily on the radar. I hope I'm wrong. Because I think there's a path for all these guys, but we'll see.
I think Mervis will be up before June.
Okay.
Okay. It's funny. The Cubs scored 6 runs tonight. It was one of those classic miserable days to play offense at Wrigley.
It was 33 real feel.
And a lot of people in the chat are complaining about the middle of the order. That's a sign of a good offense. 6 runs?
Correct. That's a lot.
I mean, when's the last time have the Cubs been shut out this season?
I don't think so, but they have 4 or 5 shutouts themselves already.
No, they do. But let me get that info up while you take another.
I don't think so. And that's a good question because somebody was asking here.
No, they haven't.
About needing a big bat. I don't necessarily disagree. I think that's still one of something you would like them to have, but who says that this composition of players, including the ones in Des Moines, can't elevate to a point where they just keep producing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
who I don't know.
I don't think we're at the
targets.
I don't think we're at the point of the year where you could. I don't think we're at the point of the year where you could confidently say what the biggest need is. They played 22 games. That's why the trade deadline's at the end of July. That's when you'll know. If my gut would be, I think Mervis could be that big bat. That'd be my gut. I think the two higher needs be a really confident, dominant 9th inning guy that you don't have to worry about,
right?
And then another starter that just gets whiffs. Those would be the two I'd put ahead of the big bat, but that could change in a month. And
a lot of people saying, they thought that the 2 runs was going to be it, and through 7 you had 2 runs. That's why you play 9 innings, player.
Yeah,
and it's a 9-inning game, not a 7-inning game.
And I would have been fine if the game was 2-0. This wasn't, this isn't one where you felt like the Padres have 4 of the best hitters in the world on their team, and they weren't able to really do much today. It's hard to produce runs when you can't feel your hands.
Right.
And Justin Steele and Blake Snell are throwing. It's not easy. I don't know what the over/under was in the game, but I'm guessing it wasn't that high.
Yeah, and I'm with Lawrence for the most part on this one. This is a comment squarely to the people of, oh, well, if he comes up and doesn't do well, how do we know? How do we know he's got to be up?
Miss me with this. What I mean, what? Oh, if he comes up and struggles, then what? I mean, you could say it about anyone.
Anybody.
I may mess up tomorrow at my job, so am I not going to show up? I mean,
I don't. Yeah, and also I don't.
It's not like he's 17 where you're stunting his development. He's a 24-year-old prospect or 25, whatever he is.
I also like to think positively. Yeah, Cubs have the best run differential in the National League.
Yeah, and I like that, but I don't love it. You know how I am with that stat. It's like,
yeah,
the way you win a division is by winning the close ones. But it is a good indication that you have a good baseball team, and they do.
Right. Yeah. No, it's different times right now on the north side. Cubs 13-9 on the season. Everydayers, stay with us all week long as we cover Cubs games and all the news that could break throughout the week as well. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, especially if you're new here. Thanks for checking us out. And everydayers, please keep spreading the word about the show. Smash the like button for the algorithm, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast on the audio side, and streaming soon on Sirius XM. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This